Your Excellency, President Francois Hollande, members of your distinguished delegation, fellow countrymen, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. A great physical distance has always separated the French and Filipino peoples. Yet, whether in the time of our forebears or today, that distance never posed a barrier to a sense of kinship. This is rooted in the inspiration that Filipinos have drawn from France as your people confronted problems as they arose from the time of your revolution. A century after the stirring events of 1789, our founding fathers read about them and dreamed of establishing a nation on the basis of liberté, égalité, et fraternité. As history would have it, this bond between our peoples has had the advantage of not being complicated by negative feelings arising from a colonial relationship. We have thus been able to build excellent relations on a higher plane, that of ideals and seeing the best of what your nation and its people represent. For this reason, we welcome this historic occasion, the first visit of a French head of state to the Philippines since relations were formally established in 1947. France and its people have expressed their fraternal solidarity with our nation on many different occasions. From the assistance you extended during Typhoon Haiyan, for which we reiterate our appreciation, to the agreements we signed in September last year in Paris. These agreements signify our decision to elevate our bilateral relationship to one of enhanced partnership, thus promising to open more doors of opportunity for our respective peoples. This is likewise what we have achieved on this occasion, towards deepening the engagement between our countries. President Hollande and I engaged in fruitful and meaningful discussions on enhancing bilateral cooperation. A significant point of discussion revolved around heightened people-to-people exchanges, which consequently foster and create unique opportunities for our countrymen. Towards this end, we have signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Tourism Cooperation. This will allow for the formal sharing of knowledge and best practices in ecotourism and sustainable tourism development, management of tourism destinations, product development, and skills improvement of employees, amongst others. It is also my hope that this will encourage more of our friends from France to follow the footsteps of President Hollande's visit to the Philippines and see for themselves how it is more fun in our country. We also welcomed the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in Higher Education and Research, which will foster closer collaboration between students, faculty, experts, researchers, and administrators from both our countries, as well as promote joint research in various fields. In line with our mutual resolve to strengthen our economic engagement, I also conveyed to President Hollande an invitation for French companies to explore investing in the Philippines, particularly in the aerospace, the IT BPM, renewable energy, and infrastructure sectors. Filipino workers have proven themselves to possess the skills, loyalty, and drive necessary to spur any industry to success. And given the economic resurgence that our country has experienced these last few years, there is no more opportune time than today to invest in the Philippines. French companies such as Teleperformance and Schneider Electric, both of which already have established operations, can attest to this. They chose to bet on the Filipino people, and that bet has paid off. I also took opportunity to express to President Hollande my pleasure with the participation of some French companies in our government's thrust to boost the state of local infrastructure and public transport. Our collective efforts have resulted in the signing of 3 agreements which we witnessed earlier. The letter of confirmation for the financing agreement for the Cebu Bus Rapid Transit Project, the ceremonial signing of the business agreement for the management, operation, and maintenance of the Subic-Clark-Tarlac Expressway between the Manila North Tollways Corporation and the Basis Conversion and Development Authority, and the letter of award for the Manila Light Rail Transit Line 1 Extension Project between the Light Rail Manila Corporation, Bouygues, Travaux Publics, and Alstom Transport. Indeed, the enhanced partnership between France and the Philippines has already redounded to great benefits for our people. At the same time, our discussions also covered regional and global issues of mutual concern. We reiterated the importance of maintaining peace and stability in Southeast Asia and promoting maritime security, freedom of navigation, and the peaceful settlement of disputes in accordance with international law, including UNCLOS. We likewise agreed to intensify the call on the international community to work together in order to fight terrorism in all its forms as a common scourge to mankind. President Hollande and I also discussed other issues which, though they may not appear to be grave threats, also have serious implications for humanity. For instance, the Philippines considers the protection and sustainable management of our natural resources as one of our foremost priorities. I informed the President of the reforms our country has undertaken to combat illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. Towards this end, we signed the Declaration of Intention related to the protection of the environment and the sustainable development of marine resources of the Philippines. The importance of protecting our environment points to a larger, graver concern: climate change and its adverse effects on the world. In the United Nations Climate Summit last year, the Philippines spoke strongly about the need for each country to do everything they can to address climate change. This is what we have done, from developing alternative sustainable energy sources to undertaking a massive re-greening program while intensifying an anti-illegal logging campaign. Both our countries committed to work closely together during the 21st session of the Conference of Parties, or COP21, to the United Nations Framework Convention Climate Change for the adoption of a new agreement that is universal, equitable, and ambitious. In a short while, we will launch the Manila Call to Action on Climate Change, and President Hollande and I will have a chance to speak further on this excellent example of the partnership between our countries. These expressions of solidarity leave me optimistic about the future of closer ties, heightened cooperation, and enhanced partnership between our two countries, not only in helping each other in times of need, but also in pursuing opportunities that will further our relations, not only in fulfilling our responsibilities to the French and Filipino people, but also in combating the great challenges that our world faces today. Indeed, the Philippines and France will stand together for mutual benefit, peace, and prosperity for all. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. His Excellency François Hollande, President of the French Republic.
Monsieur le Président, je veux d'abord vous remercier pour l'accueil que vous nous réservez, car la visite que j'effectue aujourd'hui est exceptionnelle.
First, it is the first time. It is the first time since 1947 that a French president, comes to the Philippines on a state visit. I myself received you in Paris 6 months ago, and we underlined that there was a tradition of friendship between our two countries. That was the purpose of your visit. We also reminded ourselves that François Mitterrand, the French president, received your mother at a time where in Paris we were celebrating the 200th anniversary of the French Revolution. It was a symbol showing that our two countries shared the values of the French Revolution, the principles of human rights which we both support altogether. This visit is also exceptional because we've decided to strengthen our relationships, cultural, economic, and academic relations. Economically, we're well aware that your countries have suffered so much from climate disruptions, and I'll get back to this. Your country also has such a resilient capacity. It's so dynamic. Your growth for a number of years has been above 6%. And in many fields, you turned to French companies, and I would like to thank you for that. French companies are in the Philippines. There are more than 100 based in the Philippines. And they hire about 40,000 Filipinos. These companies are very much willing to work more. And similarly, we, France, are ready, like I said today at the Economic Forum, we are ready to host Filipinos companies in France. we are committed in all the fields that you identified as fundamental. The air transport industry, infrastructure, renewable energies, and health. We are ready to organize our exchanges, our trade, make them easier. And to that effect, we've set up a joint economic committee that will meet in June. And it will be an opportunity to assess for the first time the agreements that we've signed and work as well on future partnerships. So there is the economy, but not just. There is also the human relationship between our two countries. Some 50,000 Filipinos live in France, and there are also more than 3,000 French people here who contribute to the development of the Philippines. We would like more mobility, in particular for the universities, and this is the reason why on the occasion of this visit I came with a number of deans of university. They've met their counterparts and they are working on cooperation. They will do more so that we can have more students in France from the Philippines, and I hardly dare telling you that there are only 200 students, Filipino students in France at the moment. We will do more in terms of science, scientific research, and see what we can put together between our two countries in that respect. And this is also the reason why, Mr. President, together with you, I wanted to put the issue of climate at the heart of our discussions of growth and strengthening our relation. First of all, there is the aid that we, France and the Europeans, brought to the Philippines where your country was struck. And I'm very proud that so many French companies got mobilized at that time together with our NGOs. But I also wanted France to continue to rebuild the parts of your territory that were devastated. And I've offered to President Aquino 50 million euros through the French Development Agency to work on projects to prevent some further disasters from happening. We will work together on innovations that will be a point of reference, examples for the entire world. I have in mind what we can do in the solar energy, as well as marine energy and geothermic energy. And if our partnership can be seen as outstanding, then we will have shown that the technologies, science, progress are at the service of mankind. And it will very much be the purpose, the meaning of the appeal that we will launch. The Manila appeal, launched by both the presidents of the Philippines and of France, as well as many figures, to show that we have very much to address this historical challenge. We must show that not just the governments, but also the civil societies can face the challenge that is in front of us. For decades and decades, we've organized mankind or our activities, a rather wealthy lifestyle for some, a lot of poverty for others, and the irreversible use of our resources. So now science has to mean progress at the service of the planet. I will get back to this appeal we will launch. It is a symbol. It is here in Manila, in the Philippines, one of the most impacted countries by climate disruption, that we will launch this mobilization. And it is together with France that the Philippines wanted as well to make sure that the world understands how urgent it is. And for France, given that we will be hosting the climate conference, we very much wanted to build this alliance with the Philippines. And our purpose is to lead the world, all the world, together with us. Thank you.